Sometimes a value isn't always a value. Take, for example, Kerry Lake's lawsuit against Maricopa County, where they hired an expert witness, a man by the name of Clay Peric, I believe is how you say that. Maybe it's Perrick, either way. This is a guy who's spoken at Mike Lindell's cyber symposium in the past. He is their expert witness that came to the stand this week to prove that the election was stolen from Kari Lake. And Mr. Parikh made a total ass of himself and got humiliated by the lawyers for Maricopa County when he was forced to admit that there was no fraud. So here's what's happening. The basis, of course, for Kerry Lake's lawsuit is that, yes, in areas of the state, Maricopa County specifically, you had ballots that were misprinted because the ink was too light and could not be read by the tabulators. Now, they had several workarounds for this. The first was you could just fill out your misprinted ballot, and then it would go into a provisional thing. They would have to hand count it later. They wouldn't stick it through the tabulator. Another possible solution was they would just take it, basically make a copy of it in darker ink, and then tabulate that. You're good to go. Or some people said, listen, I don't want to do either of those things. I'm just going to come back later. I'll vote again. They said, hey, that's perfectly fine. You can do that too. So there was no, especially that's measurable, anybody that didn't get to vote. But Kerry Lake, the sore loser, who has spent weeks at Mar-a-Lago since losing the election, she has gotten all kinds of Republican speaking gigs. She's going to be just fine. But her expert witness destroyed her case. Because the lawyers from Maricopa County, talking to Mr. Parikh this week in court, when he says that, you made them, they were making copies of the ballots and double counting. They're like, no, actually, okay, that didn't happen. But let me ask you this. You say that the misprinted ballots were the problem. Mr. Parikh says, yeah, they were. I say, all right. So when we copied them and then ran them through and they counted, what happened then? Was that wrong? Was that bad? Should we not have done that? Did those ballots not count? Because you're telling us those ballots didn't count. And Mr. Parikh, who was paid $250, $250 to go up there, give his opinion. They thought it was a value, but then he was forced to say, if they're duplicated correctly and they're reconfigured correctly, then yes, the ballots counted. So he admitted that the entire basis for Kerry Lake's lawsuit was a lie. Sometimes you have to spend money to make money. Lawyers all across the country, whether it's big, massive plaintiffs' firms or whether it's just the small, we handle only auto accident law firms, they spend a lot of money to bring a case to trial. And part of that money is spent on expert witnesses. If it's a car accident case, they send the investigators out there. They take pictures. Sometimes they'll recreate the crash. All of that costs money. For massive plaintiffs' firms, they have to get the expert witnesses. I've been there with them in the process of searching for these people. The good ones cost a lot of money, but that's because they're very good. They know the topic better than anybody. So you got to spend a lot of money on these people. Well, Kerry Lake's lawyers didn't want to do that. They didn't want to go out there and find actual election experts, so they said, hey, this guy's talked at Mike Lindell's things. We got $250 sitting here. You want to give it to him, see what he says? And then he takes the stand and destroys your entire lawsuit. Your witness ruined your lawsuit. It's about as bad as it comes, right? That's Trump level lawyer incompetence right there. You guys should have known better, but of course they didn't, because this entire lawsuit's based on nothing. And Kerry Lake cares so little about it that while her lawyers and her expert witness is blowing up her case in Arizona, she's partying down at Mar-a-Lago. That's how much she cares about this lawsuit. She knows it's bunk, but she has already made a name for herself. She is now a rising star in the Republican Party. She won more by losing. So this lawsuit will eventually fizzle out. Honestly, I'm shocked it's even been allowed to go on this far. But it doesn't matter. She'll lose. and she'll become an even bigger winner in the eyes of Republicans by losing. Hey everyone, this is Aspen. And did you know that for the low cost of $0 per day, you can subscribe to the Fair and Balanced YouTube channel? We also encourage you to like, comment, and share, but again, click that subscribe button and help Aspen not be so grumpy.